This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
It is a day filled with Donald Trump news, and I can't complain because it's all bad news for Donald Trump. I am Brittany Page. I am filling in for Jesse as he recovers from his colon cancer surgery. He had been talking about how this was coming up, how I would be filling in for him. I started appearing with him on the channel to slowly get introduced to you guys, and that has been awesome. I am so happy to be here and to be filling in for the next few weeks while Jesse recovers. So if you want to get real-time updates on how he's doing while in the hospital, because he's still in the hospital in recovery from surgery, be sure to follow him on Twitter at Dollemore and on Instagram at Dollemore. You can also follow me for updates because maybe he won't always be available to give updates on himself at Brittany Page on Twitter and Instagram. And I say it like that to help with the spelling of my name because there's so many different ways to spell it, right? Let's get into this news about Donald Trump sitting for a deposition in the defamation case that has been brought by E. Jean Carroll. You may remember that 3 years ago, a writer named E. Jean Carroll brought a defamation suit against Donald Trump in the state of New York because of statements that he made after she wrote a book and accused him of sexually assaulting her. Now, he responded to this accusation in typical Donald Trump hell fashion and said, "I'll say it with great respect. Number one, she's not my type. Number two, it never happened." Now, this was in an interview in the Oval Office that he said that. I mean, of all the things, they're just countless. You know, they talk about that moment where he mocked the reporter at a rally as this should have been the moment that we knew who Donald Trump was and didn't allow him to get into a position of power. There have been numerous moments. This is another one where he is defending himself against an accusation of sexual assault by saying she's not my type. And he stands by that, by the way. He hasn't backed down. But let's talk about what's going on with this defamation lawsuit and how Donald Trump had to sit for a deposition. According to reporting from the New York Times, Mr. Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, last month asked Judge Louis A. Kaplan of Federal District Court in Manhattan to delay the deposition while a key question about the suit was considered on appeal. Ms. Habba argued that if her client won that appeal, there would be no need for a deposition. Judge Kaplan denied the request on October 12th, finding that Mr. Trump had litigated the case, quote, with the effect and probably the purpose of delaying it. The trial is scheduled for February 6th. I wonder where we've heard that before. Donald Trump working to delay a lawsuit. I wonder if that could have happened, after the search of Mar-a-Lago, when he requested a special master, and these various opportunities that he's had to attempt to ask for another judge in these various cases, or even in the first video that I talked about today. Part of that ruling was the federal judge saying that Donald Trump has likely filed lawsuits with the intent and the purpose to delay the January 6th committee hearings process. So this is one of Donald Trump's tactics. I'm happy that this judge is calling him out for it because we've seen it before. We know this is typically how things go for him. Continuing with this reporting from the New York Times, Ms. Habba, Donald Trump's attorney, in unsuccessfully seeking to postpone the deposition, wrote to Judge Kaplan that her client was nonetheless ready and eager for questioning. Yes, we definitely believe that. Yeah, he seems very eager to sit and appear and receive the consequences for what he has done. Yeah, that's very Donald Trump. When I think of him, that's exactly what I think of. So Donald Trump has terrible options in this case. He can show up and admit that after repeatedly denying that this happened, he could show up and deny, but then that would kind of be an admission that he defamed her, which wouldn't be great for him. He could say that he never did anything, which continues this kind of he said, she said game where before a New York jury, they would play that out of he said, she said. And I wonder who the jury would find more believable and trustworthy in that case. Another option, a third option, is he could say that he doesn't recall, which would actually contradict what he's been saying, which is that she's a liar, he doesn't know her, none of this happened, and of course, she's not his type. Or he could plead the fifth, and that would be controversial because it would then be admissible against him in the defamation suit because it's civil. And this is a principle known as the adverse inference. And according to reporting from the Washington Post, the Supreme Court case cited in a case discussed here in 1976, the court stated that the Fifth Amendment does not forbid adverse inferences against parties to civil actions when they refuse to testify in response to probative evidence offered against them. That's the federal standard. Many states have more stringent rules against drawing adverse inferences in state-level civil cases, but New York, where Trump's civil case is playing out, does not. Now, this reporting is actually not specifically for the E. Jean Carroll defamation case. It is actually referring to the investigation run by New York Attorney General Letitia James, because Donald Trump has so many legal cases going on that we have to reference which one it is. But, you know, he still has this stranglehold on the Republican Party, and everyone is still backing him and supporting him despite his many legal problems. It makes a lot of sense. So the options here are not good. Ultimately, we do not yet know what he showed up and said. So we'll definitely be following that. But I just want to remind everybody, because if he does ultimately show up and plead the fifth, that's one of his options. I just want to remind everyone how Donald Trump feels about pleading the fifth.
The mob takes the fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
So there you have it. People who plead the fifth, guilty, right, Donald Trump? I guess we'll see. What do you think? I'd love to know. Call, leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054, or you can email us at daily@dollemore.com. If you appreciate the work that we do here, if you value the work that we do here, please consider becoming a channel member by hitting the join button below. You can join for as little as $2 a month, and it really goes a long way to help and support what we do here, especially, as a reminder, as Jesse would say, because he doesn't have sick days, and he is out sick, recovering from surgery. So you can also become a Patreon member at patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. The I Doubt It podcast is something that Jesse and I have been doing for 8 years, and we love doing the podcast. I am now moving my way onto YouTube and doing these videos, which is uncomfortable. Some of you have noted, Brittany, you look nervous. Yeah, I feel nervous to be on camera. It's something new to me, but I'm learning and I'm growing, and what more could we hope for as human beings but to learn and grow? I appreciate everyone's support during this very difficult time. It has been very, very hard. I remember when I recorded my first solo video a few weeks ago, which you can find in Jesse's channel. I sat here, got ready to record, cried for probably 5 minutes, wiped my tears, and then hit record. And it was supposed to be just a test video. We weren't even going to post it, but Jesse ended up being so happy with it that we posted it. It's been a lot's been going on, but we're doing good. We're so happy that Jesse is through this surgery, that he is now recovering. We're eager to get additional answers on what's going on with the cancer. So stay tuned for all that. We so appreciate your support. As Jesse would say, be genuine and take care of one another.